Jarreau of the Jarreau Effect Live, and this episode right here is gonna be full of gems. I was talking about rubies, diamonds, everything. I have a golden individual and Dr. Carl Cunningham Jr. This man is very successful. He has changed the lives of thousands of individuals, including myself, and I'm so happy to have him along on my show. So how you doing, Mr. Cunningham?
I'm doing great, Alvin. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thank you for coming to my show. It's
Absolutely.
truly an honor. Guys, this is my mentor. I've known Mr. Cunningham since 7th grade. This guy is an awesome individual. Y'all will truly enjoy this interview. So, just tell me about your childhood and how your parents helped you become the man that you are today.
Absolutely. First, I want to say how proud I am of Alvin, having the opportunity to see him grow from 7th grade to completing his high school diploma and now watching him even move further in life. So it's a great opportunity. So once again, thank you for this opportunity
Thank you, Mr.
to
Cunningham.
be here. But my name is Carl Cunningham Jr. I'm a native of Mobile, Alabama. My mom and dad are from Mobile. My family has been in Mobile roughly since about 1870. So, we've been a family here for quite a long time. I've had the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of outstanding people from the Mobile community as a child. I'm growing up, just being in a family that loved you and a family that protected us from just various things in life that, sometimes life throws at you. So having great grandparents, I had both set of my grandparents. I was fortunate enough to have them in my life, as well as my great grandfather as well. So, watching him be the leader, the man of the family of several generations, I really, look back on that and how he was able to manage 10 children, their children, and even, their children. So that fascinates me to this day how all that was done, but it was done.
Right.
I'm a graduate of Murphy High School. I enjoyed my time at Murphy High School. Great
Murphy.
experience. It was
Murphy Panther.
the Murphy Panthers, the largest school at that time in the state of Alabama. We had outstanding, athletic programs, arts programs. We had an outstanding marching band. I was in a marching band at Murphy where I played the trombone as well. So all of those experiences combined has really propelled me and prepared me to be where I am today.
Okay, so you say you were in the band. Tell me how the band, because I remember when I was in the Mobile Cap League, when you were advising us, you told us that being a part of the band and a part of arts can really help you expand as a person. So tell me how the band has changed your life in high school.
Absolutely. So first of all, it's the technique of playing an instrument.
Mm-hmm.
It's the counting, and knowing when to crescendo, decrescendo, knowing how to make music move. And so that becomes a part really of your life. And so you know how to weave and do ebb and flows in life because of the music aspect. So I took all of those and placed those into my life, as well as the discipline of practicing your instrument. That was important. If you wanted to get better, you had to practice your instrument. And lastly, my goal was to go to Jackson State and then the Jackson State University, Sonic Boom of the South. And so because I had that goal in 7th and 8th grade, I knew I had to be pretty darn good on the trombone. So just that element in itself pushed and propelled me to be just great on my instrument. So I still play the trombone. Of course, I'm not as versed in it as I used to because I don't practice like I used to practice. But I still play. I play with the Excelsior's Brass Band, which is the oldest brass band in the state of Alabama. We were founded in 1883. So it's great to be a part of those men as well. And I'm a former member of the Mobile Symphonic Pop. I enjoy playing symphony music as well. And so just being exposed to the various genres of music really exposes you just to the world. I've had the opportunity to travel all over the world playing my trombone. So even in that space, just that instrument has allowed me and afforded me to be exposed to so much.
Wow, so you said you went to Jackson State University.
Absolutely.
Tell me about the HBCU life and why HBCUs are kind of so important for us as people.
Wow. Well, my father went to Jackson State University, and my mother is a graduate of Prairie View A&M University. And my brother went to Florida A&M University. So we are truly an HBCU family. And my parents knew the importance of sending their African American males to historically black colleges. Their goal, they wanted mentors for us. They wanted us to be educated in a space that loved us, but also treated us as professionals. And so they knew that because they are graduates of HBCUs. And so we followed in their footsteps, and I followed in my father's footsteps to attend Jackson State University. Great experience. I got a chance to meet black people from all over the world, and even other people from all over the world at Jackson State University. Some of my best and closest friends are not from Mobile. They're my college friends, the friends that I met my freshman year at Jackson State, and we established those friendships then, and we are friends now. And just to watch them be CEOs of music companies, actresses, principals, presidents, it's just amazing to know that we all started scraping pennies our freshman year, but we stayed the course.
Okay.
We stayed the course. We knew that there was opportunity if we stuck with this education process, and we did that. And as a result, we are outstanding people in the community now. And not saying that you don't have to go to college to be an outstanding person in the community, but I think there is a difference between someone who is a college educator. Because my band director told me this. He said, my freshman year, he said, when you go home for Thanksgiving or Christmas, if you behave the same way as the boys that you left that didn't go to college, you wasted your money. And that always stuck. I thought that was so elitist. I was like, how you gonna say that? He don't know my homeboy. We straight.
Yeah.
But then when I came home for Thanksgiving and Christmas from Jackson State my first semester, I could tell that I had changed, and not in a bad way, but I had been exposed to more people, to more ideas, to more thoughts. And so from that, if you're still in the same place where you were and you hadn't ventured out, eventually you'd be the same person, unfortunately.
So the circle and the network is
Huge.
amazing at a HBCU.
It's amazing. Probably my junior year, I knew for the most part everybody's going to be somebody. As a freshman, you're kind of ignorant of that. But by my junior year, I'm like, okay, everybody's in here. Everybody on this campus, they're going to be some movers and shakers. And that's just in the black diaspora. I mean, they're moving in a space where blackness is celebrated and where blackness is recreated over and over again. And so you just start to look around and like, dang, everybody in this space is good. And so you don't have a choice but to be good. And so that's why I love HBCUs, because they applaud your success, they celebrate your blackness, and you don't have to be ashamed to be who you are.
Okay, so let's talk about, what was your major in college?
I changed my major 3 times, just like a typical student. I didn't know what I wanted to do. So I entered as a history major because I loved history. But I didn't want to take a teacher, so I changed my major, which is very juvenile. But hey, I was 17 years old, so I changed my major to criminal justice. I did not like that at all. That just wasn't me. So I found a major called urban planning, urban studies, and it's the planning of cities, basically, where you look at demographic data of people in particular areas, and you think about the process of the planning of city. You need city government, you need a school, you have to build a school, how many people live in this space. And so you put all these things together and you begin to create spaces for people to live. And so I was really fascinated in that, and I always loved geography anyway. And so combining my geography skills that I learned through from kindergarten to 12th grade, and I minored in geography at Jackson State as well. So I put all that together, and I ended up with a degree in city and urban studies from Jackson State University.
Okay, so what did that translate to your job profession?
Well, it's a story behind that. So I went on to go to Southern Miss to earn my master's in geography, and I worked and taught geography at the University of Southern Mississippi for a while. But while I was there, a friend of mine was like, man, you need to go ahead and get your PhD in education. I was like, why? At this point, I'm 24, I'm sick of school, and I'm just ready to get out. And he's like, you might as well, you're here. And I started working in Greek life at the University of Southern Mississippi. So here comes education. I fought it because I didn't want to be an educator. But once I started working in Greek life at Southern Mississippi in Hattiesburg, and I started taking education classes, it kind of fell on me. So I've been in education for at least 25 years. So teaching on a collegiate level.
Okay, so next, before we talk about Greek life, let's talk about, what was your goal as an educator? What do you want your students to get out of your class and out of your just purpose of teaching them?
I want my students ultimately to be leaders in the field uh, of what they choose to do. And so I want them to be responsible. I want them to be attentive to other people's feelings. I want them to expose. Um, I want to expose my students to just varied ways of thinking, to understand the world we're living in and how everything moves in this system that we operate in, good and bad.
Okay. So let's talk about Greek life. Are you in a fraternity or?
Yes, I am. I'm a member of Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity Incorporated. I've been a member for 24 years. Next year will be my 25th year as a member of Kappa Alpha Psi. So I'm excited about being in the best fraternity for 25 years. The experience has been amazing. And, of course, another layer of networking, of meeting awesome young men, awesome seasoned Kappas from around the world. So, and then just give me the opportunity to work with the Kappa League as well. So,
how has being in a fraternity in Kappa Alpha Psi has changed your life as a man, and just connected you?
Yes, absolutely. Well, it's connected me on several levels. What a fraternity does, it gives you a brotherhood. You have a support system. Particularly with my line brothers, many times, if one line brother is down, we call and pick him up because life throws you different obstacles, and so you need a good circle of people around you, and particularly young men of color. You need a good circle of friends around you to hold you accountable. So my line brothers hold me accountable. We hold each other accountable, and we want to make sure that we keep achieving and doing what we are supposed to do. Because the fundamental purpose of Kappa Alpha Psi is achievement.
There's nothing like somebody pushing you, continuing to keep you on your purpose, as long as yourself motivating someone else to keep you on their purpose as well.
Right.
So, let's talk about, I've known you for a while. I know that you're very well known in the community. You help out in the community, and you're just a community leader. So let's talk about the various groups that you're in and just what do you do?
Okay. I'm involved, of course, with Kappa Alpha Psi. I'm very active with the fraternity. I'm the Kappa League advisor. I'm sure we're going to come back to that. I'm a member of Big Brothers Big Sisters board as well. I am active with Camp Beckwith, which is part of the Episcopal Church. I'm very involved in my church. I attend Christ Episcopal Cathedral. I grew up in Good Shepherd Episcopal Church here in Mobile as well. So I've been very active in my church and in that space as well. I'm active in various educational organizations. I'm a member of the Alabama Math and Science Board as well, School of Math and Science Board as well. So education, church, fraternity, pretty much is where I spend most of my time. And then, of course, family as well. So I think those 4 things keep me balanced in what I do. I'm the president of the Jackson State University Sonic Boom Alumni Association. So
That's big.
Yeah,
That's
big.
big.
It's a lot to do with that.
That's
we have about 1,000 members, I guess, and it's, with musicians, it's a different type of groove. And so,
yes, sir.
we're demanding as musicians, and we sometimes can be over the top. But I love the energy because I'm over the top too. So it takes a lot for me to do this interview, being conservative like this. But the other side of me, right?
But look, y'all, we finna get to the other side now. We finna talk about what I want to talk about. All right. So let's talk about mentorship.
Absolutely.
So you're the head advisor of the Mobile Kappa League. Mm-hmm. Just tell me how you balance, my generation.
Yeah.
Us young men, we kind of like, people that's older than us, they don't know what they're talking about. They don't know what's cool. They don't know what's going to help us be successful.
Right.
How did you deal with meeting all these young black men who just, we're kind of stubborn unless you show us, like, hands-on what's best for us. So tell me, how did you do that?
I think that's no different for any generation because I thought that about my great-grandfather, thought that about my grandfather. I think that about my dad. Mm-hmm. So, there's that generational gap that you have with the seasoned men trying to work with the younger men. But I think it all comes together once a seasoned brother proves himself to the, younger male that, he's here for him. He's here trying to direct him and show him. So I think it all comes together. But at the beginning, it can sometimes be a little shaky. But right. It is what it is with that because that's when the seasoned man has to be the man. That's his role in directing other young men. And so I think sometimes other young men uh, find that a little brute on that approach. But to me, it's a circle of life. You're supposed to have a seasoned man in a room making the decision.
Right.
Yeah, because you're too
Right.
young to make the decision. Now you can give an input, but life allows the seasoned man in the room to make that decision. You only been on the earth 15 years. He been on the earth 47 years. So
And already experienced what you about to
experience,
experience.
yeah, he
Yeah.
already knows it's
Yeah.
about to go down. So for me, I can look at a young man and pretty much know what path he's going to take.
Wow.
Yeah, so because I've been doing it for so long,
So long.
every now and then a young man will surprise me.
Hmm.
But for the most part, I can look at the drive. I can look at the friends he's hanging with. I can look at the environment. I can look at the school that he may come out of. I can look at the classes he's taken. So a lot of those things are determining factors in success. It's not the determining factor, but it breeds pretty much what's going to happen. And so I think as young black males, you have to be really careful on your surroundings, who's in your friend circle, who you look up to, the classes you're taking in high school. I just feel like that all black males should take advanced classes. Now, if you need to drop down, you do that. But you need to be challenged mentally to think.
Ooh. I love that. I love that. Okay, so when I was in the Mobile Cap League, you said something. You taught us something. It was the 5 wheels of leadership.
Right.
Explain the 5 wheels of leadership to the audience and
Okay.
just break it down to me. I just want to just hear your input on the 5 wheels of leadership.
Well, the 5 wells are, you can help me, well read, well spoken, well dressed, well traveled, well balanced. So those are the 5 wells that I personally live by, and I try to teach every young man that I come in contact with. And just well traveled, again, it's the exposure piece. The more you're exposed, the more your mind begins to massage itself in various atmospheres, and so you'll be able to pull a lot in to yourself and then be able to disseminate that out back into the community or in your circle of friends. They're like, man, where you learn that from? Well, I traveled to wherever and I learned this information. Like, man, thanks for bringing that back to us. So traveling is very important. Well dressed. I mean, presentation is everything. I don't care.
See this guy,
We
man.
try to fight that, and we debate that in certain aspects of our community, but there's no debating on that. Presentation is everything. Before we were enslaved, we presented ourselves at the utmost before we came to America. And then in America, we figured out how to present ourselves, even as enslaved people. Now, all of a sudden, in my opinion, our presentations at this point in time sometimes lack. But I think that's the family. I think the family has fallen apart within our African American community for various reasons, and that's a whole another conversation because it's not all based on just African American. It's a system that we, I think, lived in that has separated the family. But because we know this, it's important for men to look like men, to dress like a man, to present himself as a man. So that well dressed is important. Well spoken, I think that's important. That you speak well, you talk well, you learn how to communicate effectively. Where it
Without
needs to be.
communication.
Yeah, without communication. Hey, I can't function if you can't communicate with
Right.
me.
The world wouldn't run without communication.
Communication. So you have to communicate. But what did I say? Well read, well dressed, well spoken?
You said well dressed.
Yes.
You said well spoken.
Yes.
And you said well balanced.
Well balanced. That's the last one. Well read. Let's do that. And then well balanced. Reading opens up the mind to a lot. What I find is that many young men, particularly young men of color, just don't read enough. Reading for me is like a playbook. So when I played football, Park League, we would have different plays and playbooks and so forth. So I look at reading as like my playbook. So the more I read, the more plays I have in my head. So I don't have to figure out defense and offense. I already have a play in the head. When you say something to me, I have enough information to counteract or push back what you're trying to do. So I can be on offense, I can be on defense. But that comes from reading and being able to have enough knowledge to do that.
I know that by just me knowing you. You always have an answer, no matter what's the problem, the situation, you know, the outcome of something that's happened. How you can get yourself out the hole. You
Right.
always have an answer.
Right.
I know you helped me with an event I had in Mobile. You told me this is the way, because I tried to do another way that really wasn't going to push and motivate our community.
Right.
But your way really, it really helped me. And that's why guidance is important. That's why mentorship programs is important.
Right.
That's why it's good for you to talk to a seasoned man, because, you know, I'm a young man, and this man has already lived his life. He's growing. You know, we was just talking before this interview. He said the grind doesn't stop. He's continuing to better himself, stay on his purpose, and help people along with him. That's why mentorship is important.
And I'll say this with being a leader and mentorship, people are going to throw daggers at you. I mean, that's just what people do. They become jealous if you, they envy, you know, what you're doing. And so that's why you really have to stay grounded and well balanced in that space, because your gift can't be seen by anybody else. If God placed the gift in you, he placed it in you. So everybody else trying to figure out, well, what is he doing? I don't understand why he's doing that. So, you know, many times jealousy and envy comes from that, from other people. But what I tell young men in particular, stay grounded. If you have a vision, go for it. Others may not see your vision at that time, but if God placed that vision on you, you should obey and go for it.
Wow, man. I love this interview, man. I'm still learning. I was like a sponge, just gaining all this knowledge. Okay, so let's not. Where do you think black men are, young black men are in this generation right now?
Geez, I think young black men at this time are, from what I see, are lacking true male role models, father figures. We know, I think I was reading an article recently about 60% of young men, black men, young men of color born in single parent female headed households. Then on top of that, layer the poverty. And we do know if a black male is born in poverty, I mean, the chances of him staying in poverty is huge. And so, for the most part, a woman can marry out or marry up. But for men, that's difficult to do. And so we have to have these conversations with our young black males, and particularly families, communities, and churches, like, you know, what are we doing? You know, what are we going to do? I think I already know what we're doing. So the question becomes, what's the action plan in addressing this and fixing this? Unfortunately, it's a hot topic. When I say hot topic, people don't want to touch it, but I work in it. Yeah. So I have no problem talking about it. I think I see young black men who are hurting. I see young black men who are reaching out, who are seeking true guidance. And so I employ that schools, churches, communities, you know, you form mentoring programs, you form support systems for young men of color, and you teach young men of color. I hear a lot of people say, like, well, they're not going to listen. They make comments behind the scene about the African American males at their schools. Let me just say that, instead of saying, hey, you know, you need to address this look, you know, because you know me, I'm gonna tell you, like, this is not working. You know, I'm going to tell you up front, like, where do you think you're trying to go in life?
You don't sugarcoat for anything.
But then a lot of males get upset because I think, you know, with boys, the over mothers, sometimes if there's a father not there to say, back off, let him figure it out, or let a man come in and say, you need to change that. You know, he's right. Your coach is right. Your male principal is right. You look a mess. You know, so, you know, a lot of times I see the boys start crying. That's why I can't coach football, all the sports, because I watch the coaches struggle with instructing young men to be successful because the boys end up crying or going home telling their mama what the coach said. Like, are you serious?
Yes, sir.
Are you serious? If you want to be strong and you want to be a young man
You had to
to be
fall
successful,
down.
you have to fall
You gotta
down.
fall down.
You have to fall down.
Yes,
You
sir.
have to pay homage and respect to the people that have come before you. You cannot automatically step into the space.
Yes, sir. I totally
That's
agree.
disrespectful.
I totally agree. I totally agree. Man, so let's talk about. I'm aware that you wrote a book.
Yeah.
What was your book about? And tell the audience the name of your book.
Okay, the name of my book is called A Cut Above The Process of Male Mentoring. I just wrote about my experience of mentoring young men and my experience of mentoring young men in the Kappa League program. I talk about the successes of the program and some of the young men, former Kappa League, who participated in the program, they wrote some sections in it as well, talking about their experiences and the changes in their life, how before they were in Kappa League and once they were in Kappa League and where they are now as professional men. So it's a great read. It's on Amazon. You can follow me on social media as well, DrSetItOff, on all social media handles if you want to get a copy as well. It's a good book, so make sure you get a copy.
Yes, sir. Are you thinking about having another book coming, or are you?
You
writing
know
one?
I am, but people want to. I want to write another book, but people want to know about my parents because I post a lot on social media about my mom and dad and the things that they told us growing up. You know, people often ask like, "Why are you so? Your brothers, y'all are so successful?" And I was like, "Well, you know, my parents really pushed us and really guided us, you know, to be where we are today." But and they said some things growing up that was tough, man. They didn't hold their tongue with us, so that's kind of where I get that from. Because you know, y'all sometimes y'all be like, "Carl so brutal" and so forth. But I grew up in
By
a
the time you was bad.
yeah, I grew up in a space where my mom didn't hold her tongue. I'm like, this is how it's gonna be. This is what it's gonna be. But she did that to protect us. She did that because she know the world is not a friendly place, particularly for a black boy. So she prepared us early on to be able to handle what life was going to throw at us. And so I think at this point we've handled it very well and very appreciative of the upfront and direct parents that I had. Was I mad? I was super mad at them. But I look back now and say, wow, you know, they did that. My mom and dad did what they had to do to produce top tier black boys.
Okay, so let's talk about the pandemic.
Okay.
You know, you were a teacher, you're a head advisor of the Mobile Kappa League, you know, the president of the Alumni Association at Jackson State. You know, let's just talk about what were you doing to better yourself and what were you doing to, you know, be at peace during the pandemic?
Good question. So I had just come back from a conference in Destin, great conference, and 3 days later, home for the pandemic. So I worked from home for about a month. Then I went back into the office. We had shifts when we would go back into the office. I work at Coastal Alabama Community College. I'm the director of TRIO Student Support Services there, and I do other things, teach geography at Coastal as well. So we went to an online platform, virtual, like many of the college institutions and everybody did during that time. Personally, I started a walking group. So once you heard that the COVID-19 was impacting African Americans in a large percentage, and because of, you know, overweight, diabetes, hypertension, just health issues that we deal with our communities, I said, well, let me get this weight on me. And I was about 20 pounds heavier. And so I started running and I posted on Facebook, and a friend of mine named Nicole Andrews, she's like, can I come walk with you? I said, sure. So we started walking. We walked from Water Street to LaFleur, back to Water Street. That's like 7 miles.
Ooh.
And so I was like, man, if we can do that, we were hurting. But I was like, if we can do this, you know, we can start doing this every day, because at the pandemic, once 4 o'clock hit, you were done with work. And so you couldn't go anywhere. So we started hitting the pavement. And so we kept posting our pictures on Facebook. We were walking and invite others to come. Man, before we knew it, we went from like 2 people to 30 people to 40 people to 50 people. So we named the group MOB Pacers. And so we started it around this time April of last year. And We stopped walking when it got cold. So November, we stopped walking for November. And we picked back up on March 15th. And we're back at it again. So we walk um, about 5 to 6 miles Monday through Thursday at this point. Usually when we get in the summertime, we add Fridays as well. So we realized that our health was very important, particularly as people of color. So in doing that, I lost 25 pounds, and I've managed to keep the weight off, and I feel good. And feel good about working out, but that's that well-balanced piece as well. It's just important that not, you only work in the community, you work on your job, but mental health and physical health is important as well. So I place all those things as priorities in my life.
Man, thank you again, Dr. Cunningham, for coming on to my show. I've learned so much, and I know the audience has learned so much, and I know that they love you. Y'all be sure to like, share, and subscribe. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Jarreau Effect Live. Thank you, Dr. Cunningham.
Thank you.